What's up, good people, and welcome back to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between that we care about. So today, in this Darius Cooks Exposed series, I'm bringing to you yet another survivor of Darius Cooks, and this time it's one of the contractual waiters that Darius had at one of his Dining with Darius events in New Orleans. And what I started to notice quite a while ago is there's a running theme through the type of people that Darius Cooks scams. And they are always, I would say 99% of them are the working class. And I really want to thank this waiter for coming out and sharing his story. Many of the survivors, because I get the question and see it a lot in comments on, under my videos, but other places as well on social media, where people are questioning where are the victims and why aren't they suing and why why aren't they coming out? And then, the crook himself wants everyone to come out on video and identify themselves with first and last names and addresses so he can dox them. But that's a whole nother story. But what I'm seeing is that I've spoken with a lot of people, like whether it's through my DM, my direct messages, the text community, etc. And through the phone as well. I have spoken with a lot of victims, a lot of people who have been scammed by Darius Cooks in some way. Sometimes it's related to orders, lack of receiving products, or broken products and he won't respond, or services they didn't receive, the Dining with Darius events that were canceled, and he still hasn't returned money. Even as far back as 2016, which we know from Bunky Brewster, his former assistant, we know why those events got canceled now. It took us a while to get that story, because he scammed her for $10,000 in the damaged Airbnb that he wouldn't pay her, and so she took her name, closed her Airbnb account, so he had no way to book those homes. So he had to cancel because he already had damaged his Airbnb account. So I said all that to say, when people have been scammed, it is not an easy thing because there's an emotional piece to being scammed. Like, you feel bamboozled. There's sometimes a little self-blame, like, how did I fall for that? There's anger, like you go through the stages of grief when you've been scammed. I have been scammed by this same person, so I know that, and I did my stages of grief. So everyone isn't, and then there's different personality types as well. So everyone isn't, if you do something to me, I'm gonna go after you with a vengeance. I'm gonna go yell from the mountaintops until you have paid for what you've done to me. You'd be surprised, and through this experience, I have realized that there are way less people who are actually like that. Now, there are a lot of people in the comments who talk a lot of game, like, if it was me, I would have, but it wasn't you, and you're just making comments. But what I'm seeing is that the majority of people kind of write it off as a lesson learned. They don't want no smoke. They don't want no attention. They're afraid of being doxxed. They're afraid of, retribution in some way. And again, the embarrassment piece of it. So when we have people who come out like this gentleman, Dustin, who was a waiter for a couple of the Dining with Darius events, even though he's only giving audio, we have to commend him for that as well. So, because I know how this works. I'll put this out. It's a true story. It's a real person. And then people be commenting, well, why he didn't show his face? How we know that's real? All of that. Take it for what it's worth. You decide if you're going to believe it or not. That's not my fight. My goal here is to just continue to put the information out, continue to amplify voices. If you're a person who has a story, whether you want to share it in writing, whether you want to share it even in audio like what we're about to listen to, or if you even want to get on camera, hit me up. My text number is below. That'll just be between you and me. No one else would know. I don't put any information out that people don't give me permission to put out. That's why I've told you I've talked to tons of people, and some of the stories are just stories people are sharing, and they don't want any of the information really out that could potentially identify them. So with that, again, this clip is from Natalie Lawyer Chick. She has a YouTube channel. She's an attorney, and she actually also has a Darius Cooks series, and she covers his story from a legal lens, from a legal perspective. So definitely, if you're not familiar with her, Go over to her channel, check her out, give her a subscribe, give her a like. And there's a full video connected to this clip where she also interviews the kitchenista. So I will have the link to that full video in my description area below. So with that, let's listen to Dustin's story of how Darius Cooks scammed him as well.
So Texas does have regulations for what they call cottage food laws, Texas cottage food laws. There are also cottage food laws all across the country, and it deals with the type of food that you're allowed to prepare and sell from your house. So according to Texas law, you must obtain a Texas food handler certification, which only costs about $10. Your food must have legally required food labels. So far, I have not been able to find a single Texas food handler certification for Darius Williams or Darius Cooks in the state of Texas. Also, there are no labels on any of the food because he's preparing meals, not pre-packaged food items. Under the Texas cottage food laws, you are not allowed to sell from a home, meaning a non-regulated kitchen. Therefore, the Dining with Darius events that he's holding with about 30 people at a time are per se against the cottage food laws of the state of Texas and against the health department rules that regulate the production of food for the public. An example of this $289, because it's now $289 for the year 2023 and 2024 event, is that these people have to serve themselves their own food, going so far as to dip their hands into a vat of Kool-Aid sangria that is made in plastic containers that are not food safe. The reason he doesn't have servers, although he does have assistants, but the reason he doesn't have servers is because the servers that he did hire to help him with his event, he did not pay. Let's hear from Dustin, who is a subscriber of this channel, who shared his account of having worked for Darius Cooks in Louisiana. So, Dustin, what's your line of work?
I wait tables, service industry, basically, and I am a musician, but, as I'm getting older, I do less of that.
Yeah. Gotta pay the bills. I get it.
Exactamundo.
So, and how long have you been working in the service industry?
I'd say 22 plus years. Yeah, 22 years.
Oh, that's a good amount of time. Okay, so you're pretty familiar with, like, what it means to be hired by somebody to do that type of work and what should normally happen then.
Most definitely. I've helped open restaurants. So
oh, okay.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you've helped to open restaurants, and have you also worked for people in catering?
Of course. Yeah.
And there came a point in time where you were hired on by Darius Cooks, or Darius Williams is his real name?
Yep.
Okay. So how did that come about?
Craigslist, I saw a post and I was like wanting at the time just like to make it a little extra scratch. Normally I had worked catering for like events, like a specific place, catering place here in New Orleans on St. Charles Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this would be kind of cool to do like a private event, why not?
Okay. And that private event was Dining with Darius?
It was.
What year was that? Do you remember approximately?
It's going to be like 2019, I think. I don't know exactly the date or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've since, shoved it out of my mind.
Right. It was 3 years ago.
Your episode, and then I was like, oh, I do know who this is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that was in New Orleans that the Dining with Darius event was at?
Correct.
Okay.
On State Street.
Okay. On State Street. Okay.
Airbnb on State Street. So it's just like me and him there pretty much setting everything up, doing a little prep work here and there, placements of, this, that, and the other thing. And I was curious as to like, what he was all about, because I didn't know anything about him leading up to this.
Mm-hmm.
And, but like, as far as like the whole experience in and of itself,
mm-hmm.
all his like clientele, customer, people that like follow him, really were engaged and really loved him,
mm-hmm.
And were excited to be there and whatnot.
Yeah.
So on that front, it wasn't like a bad experience whatsoever. It was just the not being paid part was the bad experience.
Was the bad experience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Was that unique to you? Like how much his fans really like loved him and were there, for him and to interact with him?
I think it was unique in the sense that they all just kind of seemed like they were hanging around like a rock star or something.
I don't know if you like on yours. And I feel like every salad should have fried chicken. So I brought a little chicken to put on the salad. That's what she right. And then I was like, I got to make the dressing. You see what I'm saying? So I made a Hennessy balsamic salad dressing on top of the salad. So if you could do me a favor and make some room in the middle of the table, we'll bring it out to you. Okay?
Yeah. So, how much were you promised to be paid? Was it put in the Craigslist ad or when he spoke to you in person? How much were you promised to be paid?
I don't remember if it was in the Craigslist, but I'm pretty sure it was like $300, and then there would be like some tip, because there would be a tip pool for the 2 nights that I worked. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it would be kind of all inclusive, except it was, even if I wouldn't have got tips, as I aforementioned, it was me and one other waiter. And she was like completely green and new to it all. Like,
okay.
And I don't remember her name. I haven't seen her since, but it was all basically that would be figured out once the 2 nights were completed.
Okay, so from your understanding, you were supposed to get paid $300 for 2 nights of work. How many hours did you work? Do you remember?
It was just dinner service. It wasn't very long. Maybe like 5 hours each night.
Okay, so about 10 hours of work, you would get paid $300, and
then whatever tip, like residual, like tip, once he's paying for whatever it made sense to me at the time. I was like,
sure,
okay,
yeah. So, did you get any of the tips?
Nah, I got nothing.
Nothing. So none of the tips and none of the $300 that you were promised for the 2 nights.
0.
And what did you do to try to, get payment if you did anything at all?
I called him and was basically just ignored. I don't know, he blocked me or whatever. And then at a certain point, I just gave up on it.
Wow.
You know? I mean, why spend the time? Why make my job trying to find out where he's at when I had already known. I already knew he was from out of town. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. I did look him up on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was just like, And I might have messaged him, but because I never got a single response, I just let it go.
Yeah.
I was just like, you got to.
Yeah, you had to move on with your life.
All these years later, I just see your video, and at first, because I usually have podcasts in the background, and then I'll glance over now and then. But then once you got to going on about it, I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's him.
Yeah. So to be clear, Dustin is not alone. He learned about the Darius Cooks' ongoing widespread issues from watching this channel, but there are other individuals who have worked for Darius that have come forward and said that they have not been paid.
So there you go. Here's yet another survivor of Darius Cooks. And what I found interesting, well, there's quite a few things in the story that Dustin told of his experience of being scammed by Darius, which is horrible when you think about a person who's obviously in need of work to the point that, you know, he's looking for gigs and trying to earn extra money or trying to make ends meet. And so this guy goes to Craigslist looking to earn money honestly, in an honest way, and then runs into a millionaire who takes 2 days of work out of him and then scams him, doesn't pay him at all. And what did he say? I think did he say a total of $300 or $300 a day? I can't remember, but a few $100s. You're a multi-millionaire. This guy worked, he served your clients, and then, and on top of that, he didn't get the tip. Like, first of all, he didn't get his base pay, and then he didn't even get the tip. How do you do that to people? What kind of sinister mindset or mentality do you have to be able to do that to hardworking people? I could never have a person work for me. I'm earning thousands of dollars in that one event. Because it's ridiculous. And a lot of you don't have the background. And I'm starting to, as these videos are picking up even more and more people, more new people are coming and noticing this thing and getting exposed to it, I'm starting to realize how many people, aren't familiar with it at all. And you have more people lining up to go into the slaughterhouse. They're going to be paying for an event that won't even start until 2023. And there's been a lot of discussion on the scam piece of that as well, which is most banks and credit card companies won't honor disputes that are generally beyond 90 days to 120 days. Well, this dude, the crook, because again, he's a scammer, so he knows this. He's booking these events, so he has people paying for them a whole year out. Why so far out? Well, a year or two out, a year and a half or whatever for some of these. Why have people pay so far out? And then all of the variables that could happen between now and then, and they have happened in the past, where he's had to cancel events for various reasons. Then he doesn't return their money, and these people then have no recourse. In 2016, when Spunky Brewster, his former assistant, took her name off the, closed her Airbnb account and wouldn't allow him to use it because he scammed her out of the 10 grand, he had to cancel those events. Those people did not get their money back from him. I got a message from, and I had heard this before, but I received a message from an actual person who Darius blocked them. She said her and some other people, he was ignoring them and shut down all communications with them about the event he canceled on them, the Dining with Darius event. And then they had to go through Eventbrite, and Eventbrite returned their money. That is why he can now not book through Eventbrite, because he ended up owing them allegedly, and kind of, I have a good source, but I don't have an actual receipt. So allegedly he owes Eventbrite $98,000 from all the events that got canceled, and he didn't refund, and they refunded on his behalf. Now he owes them the money. So this is what we're talking about. But anyway, real quick, let's just go with $200 times, I think he has somewhere around 30 people. He makes, on average, let's say that event during that time, $6,000 he made from that one day. He was there. This guy said he was there at least 2 days. So that's $12,000. And you can't pay this guy, let's say $600. I don't know. I felt like he said $300 total. But let's say $300 to $600. You can't pay him that it's all about the money when it's all said and done. And I know the cult members are going to be out there saying, well, maybe he didn't do his job and that's why. And then I've seen some ignorant comments of, that sounds like a good businessman to me. Cheating people to make a living, cheating people to try to become a millionaire. That's being a good business person? No, that's being a criminal. And on top of that, supposedly the base of this person, Darius Cooks, is that he's a Christian. Is that his whole following? Oh, we're God's children. We're Christians. That ain't Christian living. I don't know what kind of God y'all serving. Satan. Satan. Okay, so anyway, but that was one of the things that for me was notable or impactful. And then the other piece, and it kind of aligns with the defense that I see for him in, again, my comments and all over social media, is that Dustin spoke to how it felt being in that space where it was such a different feeling because it felt like they were treating him like a rock star. And at the end of the day, what this whole thing is about, it is definitely love bombing. It's a cult that has been in the making for over a decade. I will go into that a whole lot more in the very near future because now I understand what has been happening from a psychological perspective. And, you know, the D-wives, they don't know that they've been love bombed and are being on a daily basis, which explains why he's in their life on a daily basis. But that's what they've bought into. They've bought into the person. So that's why for them, the cookbooks, which are, you know, incomplete, bad recipes, misspelled words, all kind of stuff. Keto book isn't really keto. Vegan book ain't vegan. All of that, but they're okay with it. It works for them. The stories from my grandmother's kitchen ain't really stories from his grandmother's kitchen. Those recipes are modern day recipes that weren't even around when his grandmother was living. So all of that, but that means nothing to them because the truth is they could care less about his products. They are in love with the man. They are in love with the persona, because I know the real person. They are in love with the persona that he puts on. And those who are closest to him or have been close to him all are saying the same thing. The same thing I said in my I think it was my first or second episode of Surviving Darius Cooks, when he started to become an influencer, when he had those people from Facebook who were coming to his house to get the cupcakes, when he started baking cupcakes at his house before he opened up the cupcake gallery. I saw how he would laugh, smile, joke in their face. And then as soon as they walk out the door, he's like, who the F was that? And she was this or that. Then you have his baker and the packer of the Carolina Pound Cake Company in the video I just put out. I'll put the link above. They just said the same thing when he was on his Instagram lives coming on while in the bakery or whatever. Once he gets off, does the same thing. When he hung up, you know, from talking with customers or communicating with his customers or followers, doing the same thing. He is not for them the way that they think he is. He's an actor. He's a scammer. And it's sad. And he's good. He is good. That's why he's able to pull it off. And that's why it's so hard for them to believe. They can't disbelieve what they see, what they feel, because it's love bombing. I can't wait to really get into that because it's deep. It's real deep. And I'm going to get in this is actually making me go into an area of cults because I've kind of been studying and seeing things. And I want to start talking about that too, because he's not the only one. He's the one that I have had a personal connection to. And, you know, all of this is in my immediate world. So this is what I'm covering. However, there are many more that I'm learning about who are out there. And I want to protect all of you, myself included, from getting pulled in. I don't really follow people on social media like that. Like, I don't get that invested. Like, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Social media is smoke and mirrors. And not only is it smoke and mirrors, it's modern day television. Just like the reality shows. Like, many of you know that what you see on reality, some people do, and some don't. But many, I think more people than not, understand that what you see on reality TV is not 100% true. It is based on real life, and it is enhanced and etc. And they got storylines and stuff they create as well. Social media is the same way. These influencers are not, the great majority of them, all of them, I would say, really, none of us are 100% what you see on the camera. We're complete beings, and you can't capture that on our phones and on our, in our videos for, a few hours. It's just not possible. So anyway, I just did a whole soapbox thing because it grieves me, because I want to protect people, and I know I can't protect everyone, but I want to protect as many people as I can by sharing, by amplifying these stories, so that people can realize that you can't just judge a book by its cover. Like, in this book, this cover of this book looks okay to some, the people who follow from the outside, but you open that book and this is like the spawn of Satan. He scams people, he cheats people, he treats people horribly, and then he blocks them. And so at this point, as I've said in other videos, the reason why there's so much movement and so many voices now speaking and being amplified is because Darius Cooks has over 10 years of people that he has treated horribly and been a predator to and scammed, who are now speaking out. That's hundreds, probably thousands. Honestly, I think thousands, because I personally have well over a few hundred stories that I know personally. So I'm thinking thousands from this whole decade of these predatory practices. That is why you have so many people speaking out. And it doesn't matter how long ago it was, because those stories are just as valid as the stories that are currently happening as well. Because this ain't, oh, Darius Crooks or Darius Cooks did all of this a decade ago or 5 years ago. Leave him alone. He's hardworking. He's successful. Blah. No, the dude is still doing the same thing. His script has not changed. What has changed is the platform that his victims or survivors now have to come for that ass. That's what's changed.
Nigga, did you know that I can see you?
And lastly, the other part for me was the thing that Dustin said that is a running theme with everyone. Again, I see a lot in the comments and on social media, why they ain't sued? If he's a scammer, why he ain't in court? Why he ain't in jail? Why they blah, blah, blah. And that's because what you have is a history of, and I think Sonny Anderson termed it perfectly, penny scams. Penny scams. Darius doesn't generally, besides me and a few, companies here or there, Darius generally doesn't steal or scam thousands of dollars. He scams hundreds or $800 or under $100. So you have the people who order cookbooks who never got them. You got the people who order pound cakes who never got them. You got the people who did the Dining with Darius events and never got it. And the skillets. And so you have all of these things that are generally, with the exception of Dining with Darius events, and now the pot line, generally the stuff is under $100, and then the other stuff is under $300. So when a person gets scammed for that, for one, it takes them a while to truly realize, oh my God, this dude really ain't gonna hold up to his end of the bargain. He's either not gonna deliver my product or service, or he's not gonna give me my refund. And it takes people a while. Generally, you'll see messages here or there, and if I can find a few real quick, I might throw them up, where people are like, I sent 7 emails, I sent 5 emails, I sent 3 emails, you blocked me on Facebook, and now they over in his Instagram lives, and then he'll block them there. It usually takes people a little while to truly realize they've been scammed by him. And then the great majority of them are able to get the charges reversed through their credit card company or bank. And then the ones who can't usually feel stuck between a rock and a hard place, because at that point, their only option is really small claims court. And the time it would take to either acquire an attorney or go to small claims court and file a case, and the time it would take to do all that, and he has to be served and you got to pay for that. And by the time all of that happens, for let's say it was $300, they probably spent $1,500 or more for that $300. And so it's not worth in not only money, but then the time that it takes and the frustration and the emotional toll and roller coaster that you go on in a situation like that. So the great majority, because again, like I just said, he scams the working class who really don't have time for this shit anyway. Nobody got time to just be doing that. So people write it off as a lesson learned and they unfollow him and, you know, tell their friends, you know, maybe a couple family members, and then they just kind of move on with it. And so you literally have hundreds of people who have done the same thing. Even before this went down last summer, in my previous profession, I had a client who brought him up to me like, hey, have you ever thought about posting the, you know, this dude has vegan recipes? And I was like, I will not, because I know him personally and I know him to be a scammer. And through that conversation, found out that she knew of him scamming like a friend or something, a cousin or somebody. And the boyfriend was going after Darius. One time Darius was here in Chicago and the guy was gonna jump on him in a restaurant. So this dude has a huge history. And you know, I'm just gonna keep putting this information out. Eventually it'll make sense to the, you know, the majority of the people. And who it doesn't make sense to, that's not my fight. It's just not my fight. I don't care. So with that, I just wanted to, you know, put out another exposed episode. I thought it was timely. You know, the Dining with Darius tickets go on sale today for people to walk themselves into the slaughterhouse. People who choose to do that, have at it. Let have. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to put out these exposed episodes, because trust me, we got a ton more. And I'll, you know, circle back to the Surviving Dariuscrooks as well. So with that, if you've made it to this point in the video, definitely thank you. Please hit that thumbs up button below to show your support and help us grow. Also, if you've lasted to this point and you like what you saw, you're interested, you want to hear more, definitely hit that subscribe button below and that notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos related to this. But also, this channel ain't just about Darius Crooks. This is just a season where we gotta amplify the voices of those survivors. And so, oh, also, like there's something else. Also, make sure to follow me on all major platforms at I am Vell B on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Yes, I am Vell B. And until next time, until I upload the next video, make sure to take care and be blessed. Peace.
Hey, poppin' like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rent do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you been through. Like hold up, say what's the hold up. I got the pack, who got the roll up? I'm tryna pull up. It seem like every time I show up, it gotta go up. See the drip, they see the glow up. Oh, now they know us. See, it's funny how my pockets out of shape, but I fit for the flex. Clear the phone call, hit my chick with a text. Parlay through the bird with my drip from the jets. Save a couple hundred by your with the rest.